The riverbank stretches out before me like a painted canvas, its edges blurred by the golden hues of the setting sun. The water glimmers with reflections of the surrounding trees, casting a spell of serenity over the landscape. This is my sanctuary, where the bustle of daily life fades away and all that matters is the gentle tug on my fishing line. I've always found solace in nature, especially here, where the river winds its way through a dense forest that seems untouched by time. Towering trees stand sentinel along the water's edge, their leaves whispering secrets carried by the wind. Birds flit between branches, their songs a melody that accompanies the rhythmic lapping of the water against the shore. Today, however, my usual sense of calm is disrupted. As I cast my line into the river's embrace, a chill runs down my spine, a fleeting sensation that something is amiss. It's not paranoia, it's a gut feeling, primal and insistent, that urges caution where none was needed before. The sun, now a fiery orb sinking towards the horizon, paints the sky in shades of orange and pink. Its fading light casts long shadows that dance upon the water's surface, adding depth to the rippling reflections. Every ripple, every swirl of the current seems magnified, as if the river itself holds secrets I am not meant to uncover. I try to focus on the task at hand, waiting patiently for a nibble on my line, but my thoughts keep drifting back to that unsettling feeling. Was it a sound that I missed? A shadow that moved where it shouldn't? Or simply an echo of my own unease, amplified by the solitude of this remote spot? The forest, usually a symphony of natural wonders, now feels like a stage set for an unseen audience. Every rustle of leaves becomes a potential footstep, every distant call of a bird a whispered warning. I strain my ears, trying to distinguish between the familiar sounds of nature and the imagined threats that seem to lurk just beyond my sight. Time passes slowly, marked by the gentle ticking of my watch and the occasional splash of a fish breaking the surface. Yet, despite my best efforts to immerse myself in the tranquility of fishing, the unease lingers like a stubborn cloud on an otherwise clear day. With a sigh, I reel in my line, deciding it's best not to tempt fate any longer. As I carefully pack away my rods and tackle, the forest seems to grow quieter, as if holding its breath in anticipation. Even the sun, now dipping below the horizon, casts longer shadows that stretch ominously towards me. My footsteps echo softly on the path as I make my way back towards civilization. Each step brings a measure of relief, yet I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, that unseen eyes still follow my retreat. The rustling leaves, once a comforting backdrop to my fishing adventures, now seem to whisper secrets that elude my grasp. As I reach the edge of the forest, I pause to look back at the riverbank. The last rays of sunlight linger on the water, turning it into a liquid gold that shimmers with the promise of another day. Despite my unease, I know I will return to this place. It's a part of me, as essential as the air I breathe and the earth beneath my feet. But for now, I am grateful for the safety of home, where the familiar comforts await me. As I drive away, leaving the riverbank behind, I vow to listen more closely to my instincts next time. Perhaps there was nothing to fear today, but intuition, like the river itself, flows with a wisdom that transcends reason. In the quiet of my car, surrounded by the hum of the engine and the fading light of day, I reflect on the mysteries of nature and the delicate balance between serenity and unease. The riverbank will wait for me, its secrets hidden beneath the surface, until the day I return with renewed courage and a deeper understanding of the wild places that call to my soul. My cozy, dimly lit cabin stood as a sanctuary from the outside world, its walls adorned with fishing trophies and outdoor gear. This place was a family legacy, passed down from my father. Fishing was a cherished family hobby, and I had preserved everything just as he had left it. The cabin, with its rustic charm and sentimental value, was a constant reminder of him. As I sat in my favorite armchair, the unsettling feeling from the riverbank lingered in my mind. Recalling that eerie sense of being watched, I decided to arm myself with my father's old revolver for future fishing trips. My father had always carried it, but I, being more of a pacifist, never saw the need for it. However, recent events had made it clear that it might be necessary. Holding the revolver, I felt a strange mix of security and reluctance. It was an old but reliable piece, a testament to my father's practical nature. In that moment, though, it seemed essential to have it. I meticulously inspected the revolver, ensuring it was in perfect working condition. My father had taught me everything I needed to know about handling and maintaining it. Satisfied with its state, I placed the revolver into my fishing bag alongside my gear. Prepared for my next trip, I felt a newfound sense of protection. As I finished packing, a calm settled over me, knowing that I was ready for whatever might come my way at the riverbank. The sun's rays gently touched the surface of the water, creating golden glimmers. I returned to the riverbank, which had become almost familiar to me over the past 2 days. The silence, broken only by the whisper of a light breeze and the babbling of the water, promised a peaceful morning. But this day held a surprising twist for me. I noticed him immediately. The conservation officer stood by the water, his dark green uniform standing out against the serene nature. He looked serious and concerned, his face tense. At that moment, I couldn't understand what was happening and felt slightly wary of his sudden appearance. As I got closer, I saw that the officer was not only anxious, but also frightened. His eyes, scrutinizing me, betrayed his alarm, and this unease was contagious. Who am I? Why am I here? These questions seemed to hang in the air between us. "Hello," he began cautiously, approaching me. His voice carried a mix of fatigue and urgency. "I need to talk to you." I nodded, not taking my eyes off him. There was an involuntary sense that this encounter would change something significant. "I apologize for bothering you so unexpectedly," the officer continued, "but I have important news that concerns you and this place." I felt all my muscles tense, an inner voice suggesting that I was about to hear something substantial. The officer took a breath, as if gathering his thoughts. The wind whispered softly through the leaves, creating a gentle rustling sound as I stood on the familiar riverbank. The conservation officer's face was grave as he prepared to share his news. I could sense the gravity of his words even before he spoke, and a chill ran down my spine in anticipation. "On the opposite bank of the river," he began, his voice low and measured, "we found a body. It showed signs of violent death." He pointed to a spot across the water, indicating where the grim discovery had been made. "It happened 2 days ago." My heart raced. Just 2 days ago, I had been almost at that very spot. The realization hit me hard, a strange mix of relief and terror washing over me. My intuition had been right, the unsettling feeling I couldn't shake off now making sense. What if I hadn't left? The thought was both reassuring and terrifying. The officer continued, detailing the scene they had found. His descriptions were vivid and chilling, the state of the body, the signs of a struggle, the clear evidence of foul play. The police had their suspicions, but no solid leads yet. The seriousness in his tone made my skin crawl. "I was there," I confessed, my voice steady despite the cold dread creeping through me. 2 days ago, I was almost at that exact spot. I felt uneasy, like something was off. My intuition was screaming at me to leave. The officer's eyes narrowed slightly, intrigued and concerned. "Tell me more," he urged. I recounted the events of that day, how an inexplicable sense of anxiety had gripped me, urging me to leave the area. "I've learned to trust my instincts," I explained. "They've never failed me before. That day, it felt like something terrible was going to happen, so I left." He nodded thoughtfully, processing my words. "Your intuition might have saved your life," he said solemnly. "But we need to find out who did this and why. Any detail, no matter how small, could help." I tried to recall every detail from that day, sharing anything that might be relevant. The eerie silence, the sudden shift in the atmosphere, and the almost palpable sense of danger. The officer listened intently, his expression a mix of concern and determination. "We'll investigate further," he assured me, "but please be careful. Whoever did this is still out there." I nodded, the weight of his words sinking in. The serene riverbank no longer felt as safe and tranquil as it once did. The terrible truth had shattered that illusion, replacing it with a newfound wariness. As the officer walked away, I stood there, staring across the river. The peaceful sound of the wind in the leaves seemed almost mocking now, a stark contrast to the dark reality that had been uncovered. My intuition had saved me once, but the danger was far from over. The riverbank was bathed in the soft light of the beginning sunset, filtering through the trees. This serene setting now held a deeper meaning, tinged with the awareness of how my instincts may have saved my life. As I stood there, contemplating the events of the past days, I couldn't shake the feeling of gratitude mixed with fear. If not for that inexplicable sense of unease, I might have been a witness to something far more sinister. I owe a lot to my intuition, I murmured to myself, silently thanking whatever guardian angel or inner voice had guided me away from danger. The thought of what could have happened sent a shiver down my spine. The conservation officer stood nearby, his presence a reminder of the grim reality we faced. He nodded solemnly, acknowledging the weight of my realization. "Your instincts may have been more than just a feeling," he admitted, his expression a mix of surprise and concern. "There's a possibility that your unease was connected to the presence of the killer nearby." His words sent a chill through me. It was a sobering thought, knowing that my gut feeling had sensed something so malevolent. "I can't believe it," I confessed, still grappling with the enormity of the revelation. "But I trust your expertise." The officer sighed, clearly troubled by the implications. "We'll need to stay vigilant," he cautioned, his gaze scanning the surroundings as if searching for unseen threats. "But for now, we should focus on staying in touch. If you remember anything else or notice anything unusual, don't hesitate to contact me." We exchanged contact information, a tangible sign of our commitment to solving the mystery that now hung over this once tranquil place. As the officer walked away, leaving me alone with my thoughts, I couldn't help but feel a newfound respect for the power of intuition and the fragility of life. The sun continued its descent, casting long shadows across the riverbank. I lingered there for a while longer, watching as nature began to settle into the quiet of evening, all the while mindful of the dangers that lurked just beyond the peaceful facade. My cottage was as cozy as ever, with its flickering fireplace casting a warm glow. Returning from the riverbank, I felt the calm settle over me once more. Closing the door behind me, I sensed the safety that only home can provide. Everything was familiar, the warmth from the fireplace, the comfort of my surroundings. Yet, in my heart, there was a special joy and gratitude. I thanked my intuition for guiding me away from potential danger. This moment filled me with happiness and a newfound appreciation for listening to my instincts. Sitting in a comfortable armchair, I reflected on the events of the past few days. Each detail became clearer, and I realized the importance of my decision to leave that part of the river. Images of the peaceful morning on the opposite bank, where a tragic discovery had been made, played over in my mind. I resolved to be more cautious, especially during fishing trips. Next time, I would definitely carry means of protection. This decision gave me a sense of control and confidence in my safety. The fireplace crackled, filling the room with its comforting warmth. Despite recent events, I felt that my life was returning to its normal rhythm, but now with a heightened sense of awareness. The next day, I decided to head to the nearest outdoor gear store. Its shelves were stocked with an array of fishing equipment and supplies. Approaching the license counter, I made the decision to purchase a fishing license. This choice made me feel more responsible and law-abiding. I understood that by obtaining the license, I was not only adhering to regulations, but also supporting environmental conservation efforts. The clerk greeted me with a smile and explained the benefits of the license. He emphasized that funds from license sales contribute to sustainable management of fish resources and environmental protection. This added incentive reinforced my commitment to making the right choice. After a brief conversation, I completed the necessary paperwork and obtained my license. Holding it in my hand felt significant, a symbol of my renewed approach to fishing and stewardship of nature. With the license in my pocket, I felt more confident and prepared for future fishing adventures. This step marked an important milestone towards a refreshed and conscientious fishing practice. The setting was my cottage, evening setting in as I prepared my gear. I meticulously checked all my equipment and tools, ensuring everything was in perfect condition. From my revolver to my fishing tackle, I went through each item with care, verifying their functionality and readiness. Feeling satisfied with the thorough inspection, I couldn't help but feel a sense of readiness for the upcoming outing. It was a feeling of being fully prepared and content. I double-checked the state of my revolver, ensuring it was properly loaded and maintained. Similarly, I inspected my fishing gear, ensuring all hooks, lines, and baits were in order. With everything in place, I eagerly planned my next fishing trip for the coming weekend. This preparation filled me with anticipation and excitement for the adventures that lay ahead. The setting was serene, a riverbank in the early morning, offering perfect conditions for fishing. Returning to the familiar spot, I felt a sense of calm and confidence wash over me. It was a relief to engage in my favorite activity without the lingering fear from recent events. The surroundings seemed even more beautiful and tranquil than before. The gentle rustling of leaves, the soft rippling of the water, all contributed to a peaceful atmosphere. I meticulously set up my fishing gear, ensuring everything was in place. The morning mist added to the mystique of the scene, enhancing my anticipation for a successful outing. As I cast my line into the clear waters, I felt a surge of excitement. The rhythmic process of waiting patiently and reeling in fish brought a sense of satisfaction and joy. Throughout the day, I managed to catch several fish, each one a testament to the skill and preparation I had put into this trip. By midday, I had successfully reeled in approximately 10 kilograms of fish in a single haul, a satisfying catch, though not a record-breaking one. Each fish brought with it a sense of accomplishment and a reaffirmation of my love for fishing. As I packed up my gear and prepared to head home, I couldn't help but reflect on the day. It had been a perfect return to my favorite pastime, filled with peace, enjoyment, and a renewed appreciation for the natural world around me. With a contented smile, I looked forward to more days like this, where the river would always be a place of solace and adventure. In the serene ambience of my riverside cottage, as the warm evening sun dipped toward the horizon, I found myself immersed in profound contemplation. The events of recent days had left an indelible mark on my psyche, compelling me to reconsider the importance of intuition and preparation in life's journey. The tranquil murmur of the river outside seemed to echo my thoughts, gently nudging me to delve deeper into the lessons learned. It was here, in this peaceful sanctuary, that I began to unravel the significance of trusting one's instincts, a lesson underscored by recent events. Just days ago, I stood on the riverbank, unaware of the grim discovery that awaited on the opposite shore. A chance decision to depart from my usual fishing spot, guided by an inexplicable sense of unease, had led me away from potential danger. Little did I know then that my intuition would prove instrumental in avoiding peril. As I pondered these events, a profound sense of gratitude washed over me. Gratitude not just for my survival, but for the internal compass that had guided me. It was a reminder that amidst life's uncertainties, listening to oneself can often be the difference between safety and peril. Looking back, I felt a surge of pride for the actions I had taken. From swiftly leaving the area to ensuring my fishing gear was always in impeccable condition, each step had been a deliberate choice fueled by a newfound awareness. These were not merely precautions, but affirmations of self-respect and responsibility. In recalling the specifics of that fateful morning, I vividly remembered the sight of the inspector's grave expression as he revealed the tragic discovery. The gravity of the situation had been palpable, yet I was grateful that my instincts had prompted me to depart before becoming entangled in the unfolding drama. The lessons learned were not confined to survival instincts alone. They extended to a broader understanding of personal growth and resilience. Each decision, each moment of introspection, had contributed to my evolution as an individual keenly attuned to the subtle cues of my surroundings. Sitting by the crackling fireplace that evening, I resolved to share my experience with others. It was a duty born not just of responsibility, but of compassion, to impart the wisdom gained and empower fellow anglers to embrace their own intuition. For in a world fraught with uncertainties, knowledge of self and adherence to safety protocols could mean the difference between tragedy and triumph. With this resolve, I envisioned conversations with fellow fishing enthusiasts, sharing anecdotes and insights gleaned from my recent journey. I envisioned a community strengthened by shared experiences and fortified by a collective commitment to safety and preparedness. In the days that followed, I embarked on this mission with fervor. Whether through casual conversations by the riverbank or more formal gatherings of fishing enthusiasts, I sought to instill a culture of mindfulness and preparedness. It was my hope that by fostering open dialogue and sharing practical tips, others could navigate their own adventures with confidence and resilience. As the seasons changed and the river continued its timeless journey, I found solace in knowing that my experiences had not been in vain. They had become a catalyst for personal growth and a beacon of guidance for those willing to listen. The lessons learned that warm evening by the riverside had transcended mere survival. They had illuminated a path toward greater self-awareness and community stewardship. With each passing day, I remained committed to this journey, knowing that by embracing these lessons, I could make a meaningful difference in the lives of others and honor the wisdom gained from adversity.